And chazon always means like a spiritual vision. It's not just like eyesight, and it's not just like to be able to kind of look what's going to be happening next month. You know what I mean? Not like foreshadow, looking forward. It's spiritual. It's always spiritual. In the beginning of Isaiah, it says that the vision of Isaiah came forth. That's chazon. When Nathan spoke to David about, it said the vision came forth from Nathan to David. That was chazon. So, and even in the prophets, it talks about false prophets. That's called chazon. So it's always spiritual. It's like a spiritual vision. So the one thing that kind of came to me is like, I don't know, why don't I have a vision? Like, what is the vision, and am I supposed to have a vision? And the thing that kind of came to me is that vision comes from the Lord. It's not meant for me as a human to come up with a vision. Because I can come up with things. I can come up with, let's do this, right? And let's achieve this. But if this is not a vision from the Lord, then it's just me being like a human CEO and trying to get something accomplished when really my goal as the rabbi is to accomplish absolutely nothing outside of what the Lord wants to do. So it's like, why don't I have a vision? I don't know. Blame God. I assure you that if He says, I need you to take the congregation here or there, God willing, I will do it. But then it comes from the Lord. The second part of that question is like, what is your vision for your congregation that I have a problem with, is that it's not my congregation. It's Yeshua's congregation. It's not mine to do what I want with. My goal is to get out of His way at all times. So what's my goal for the congregation? Get out of His way.
Hallelujah!
Take a nap. You want to see me achieve the goal of Mishkahan David? That's the goal. That's my goal of Mishkahan David. It's a vision that comes from the Lord. And I think that for me, that's so important as a rabbi, that it's not for me to decide. It's how I hear the Lord, but it's what the Lord is telling me. It's not what my own head is telling me. And then even executing, even if the Lord gave me a vision, says, I want this, it's not up to me to execute it. So it's like, even if He gives me a vision, it's not my job to make it happen. Right? I mean, sometimes we do that in life, and I think it's a lesson for all of us. Sometimes we feel like the Lord said, this is going to happen in my life, and now you feel it's your responsibility to translate what He wants us to do and to make it happen when He never told you to do that. He just said, I'm going to do this. So then you took the baton and tried to do it, and now the Lord has to break your own understanding of what you thought He wanted you to do. And He's very patient. It'll take your whole life. He will go to another generation to fulfill the word He said to you. He's very patient. Because if you're still in your own strength trying to execute what you felt Him telling you, even though He didn't tell you to do that, He'll let you do it. And then if your sons and daughters take it up, He'll let them do it. He is not even withheld by generations. I'm going to take you guys out of Egypt. Great. Wound up being their kids that went into the promised land. And everybody had to wait 40 years for that generation to pass away. So he is very patient. Until they say, Lord, I am undone. I don't know what I heard, but I have to put this down. And then He said, good. Now I'm going to pick up where I left off. Right? And there's a congregation, I remember this one rabbi once told me that he felt that the Lord told him that there's going to be live music coming forth from the congregation. This is one or another rabbi, another congregation. And I shared this before. He felt for the Lord, he felt really strongly the Lord saying there's going to be live music coming forth. So then he said, whoa, that's awesome. So then he runs out and he buys speakers He runs out and he buys a music equipment. He starts saying, okay, Doris, you're going to play piano, and Val, you're going to sing, and Lou, you're going to play guitar. No problem with that, by the way. No problem. And then Steve, you're going to play the drums, and we got to get here now an hour and a half early to practice. And like, who's going to bring all the equipment? Because we're renting a church, and it's not their equipment. We got to bring our own. So who's going to do it? Nobody raises their hand. She's like, well, I guess I got to do it. So now he's waking up 2 hours early because he's got to lug really heavy equipment to services, and the whole thing was a burden to him, he shared. The whole concept of the worship team for him in this season was very burdensome. And nothing was gelling. The team was fighting. It wasn't really happening well. And finally, after all this time, I think what he said is that he brought his speakers one day and his back went out, and then he was like, Lord, I was doing what you told me to do. Why is this so hard? And he finally heard the Lord say, I never told you to make a worship team. I told you that music is going to come forth. I never told you to build a worship team. So what a wonderful blessing to hear a vision. But then again, it's not up to us to execute unless he says go do. God could have said to Noah, I'm going to destroy the world and start over with you. You know what Noah should have done if that's all he said? Nothing. Okay. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm not even going to try to figure that one out. But when he said, Noah, I'm going to destroy the world starting in with you. I need you to build an ark. Aha! There's action. There's something I'm telling you to do. Go do. You understand the difference between receiving a vision and receiving actually word to go do. And sometimes he will give us vision for our families, for our sons, for our daughters. But he does not necessarily telling us to do anything different. But sometimes as humans we hear it and we think we understand it, we translate it, and then we start to build based on our own translation. And I don't want to do that here. So anyway, so I'm still like racking my brains on this vision. Like, am I supposed to have a vision for this place? And I'm reconciling with God. You're the one that needs to give me the vision. You're the one. When you do, I can share it. But the reality is, me and Yeshua, if we have anything in common at all, it's we're day-to-day type of guys. Don't worry about tomorrow. So what's my vision for the congregation? What's my vision for a Shabbat? I celebrate Shabbat and not get killed? Celebrate Shabbat and not die? I mean, that's really it. I really don't have vision outside of this particular Shabbat. And I'm passionate about today. I'm passionate that Adonai, in his perfect providence, designed specifically who was going to come out today. Who are the visitors today? Who are the ones going to come out? Who are the ones that are going to stay home and not come out? And it's a divine thing he puts together. And it's glorious. So my vision is just to get out of his way, know that who he brings today is a holy convocation. And that I feel passionate about. So then I'm wondering, am I just overthinking this whole thing? Like maybe she's not really meaning like what's your vision as in like long-term vision for the congregation, which I have no idea where we're going. I know that God willing we're going to have Rosh Hashanah next Sunday. Because that's on the calendar. That's on the Jewish calendar. So yeah, I have a vision for that. Outside of that, I'm a Shabbat to Shabbat type of rabbi. I don't know. You know, I don't know what's going to happen even when we come here. Did I have any idea that we're going to have this time of thanking God when I walked in the door? Not a clue. You don't know. So then I'm thinking, am I just overthinking this thing? Maybe she's not asking what's my long-term vision for the congregation. Maybe she's just asking what my guiding principles are as a rabbi. Like, what kind of drives me as a rabbi? And again, my answer is, But I started to think about that because I started to ask the Lord and start to wonder myself, like, what are my guiding principles? And I came up with 3, and I'm going to share them. Number 1, we're a Messianic Jewish congregation. And I want to bring forth Messianic Judaism with truth, biblical soundness, lifting up Messiah, and not bringing forth things that sound good because they kind of have a Hebrew kind of flavor to it, but really is not truth. So I can tell you this. There's a lot of falsehoods out there in the world that call themselves like Messianic, or like Jewish roots or Hebrew roots or something like that, but it's all about ear tickling. It's not really authentic. Like, we know where the Ark of the Covenant is buried. And if you buy our DVD set, we'll let you know. I mean, there's a lot of junk out there. There's a lot of junk that, like, oh, we know the hidden mysteries of this and that and this. I'll tell you, we know nothing. The more we think we know, the more we don't know about our infinite Father. But there's these ministries that, like, oh, we have the deep truth. Remember last week when I showed the game where you put in your name and it gives you, it makes it up, but it gives you a false interpretation of your name, right? Like a mighty fighter or whatever it was. And it said, like, ancient Hebrew translation or ancient Arabic. You know what I mean? Just by saying that, you're like, oh, that must be true. Right? There are ministries that are out there that just because it says Hebrew, it doesn't mean it's true. There's a lot of junk out there. We figured out how to say the name of God correctly. Judaism never figured it out, but we figured it out. Right? All this there's a lot of junk out there. So I want to express true, authentic Messianic Judaism. It's an amazing faith we have. Faith in Messiah Yeshua and an understanding of Torah and the Jewish roots of our faith, not forsaking the church. There's a lot of Messianic movements out there that think the church is coming under judgment for putting up a stupid Christmas tree. It's false. It's false. If the church or the body of Messiah comes under judgment, it's because of a lack of love. It's not because of some tradition, because a family puts up a Christmas tree because 2,000 years ago a tree was prayed over. If they were praying over the tree, that'd be another story. If the tree was their God, like it was 2,000 years ago, that would be another story. But if it's just a tradition, it's just a tradition. And there's a lot of anti-church out there when it comes to what they call Messianic ministries or Messianic whatever it is, or Hebrew roots. This is very anti-church. I am no way anti-church. Adonai reveals to us whatever He wants to reveal to us. We cannot embrace the Jewish Hebrew roots of our faith unless it is revealed. Okay? And you blame Paul and blame the writers of the New Testament. When there was a push back then of Orthodox Jews and say they need to keep all these laws, every one of them in there, and that the answer was clearly no. It may have been not yet. That may have been the answer because they said, they're going to hear about Moses in the synagogue anyway, right? Which is interesting. In the book of Acts it says that. But my point is that there's a lot of anti-church, and there's also a lot of anti-traditional Judaism. To just do away with everything that our Jewish forefathers put together. Right? There are Messianic or Hebrew roots ministries. This daughter of the king, Donna, she's got a passion for a Baal Shem Tov. Do you want to share what that is? Who that is?
He was the founder of Hasidism.
Yes, the founder of Hasidic Judaism. And she wants to share about it at Sukkot. That's a beautiful thing. There are Hebrew roots, groups out there that want to take that and shove it away. That's just tradition. There's no value. So anyway, there's a lot of junk out there. So anyway, going about my vision or what drives me as a rabbi, I want to present Messianic Judaism with truth, not conjecture,